Hey, Charles.
Hey, Charles.
So, welcome to our surrogacy story now that little one is down,
We're going to try to keep it brief.
but it probably won't be brief.
It's been a long journey.
It's a really, really long story. We'll try to sum it up as best we can. But a little bit about ourselves before we go into it.
Yeah, I guess we met when we were kids, basically.
Yeah.
16 years old.
We both needed dates to homecoming, and
You always put it that way,
I know.
but we didn't just need dates.
we were the single people in a group of friends, and we went to homecoming, and it went really well. And so we dated for another 7 years
Got married.
at 23, and we moved out to Seattle for our careers. We went to the University of Minnesota, and I have a degree in journalism, and
Programming for me.
yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah. And so we got out to Seattle in 2012, and a year and a half into our adventure out there, we found out we were
Pregnant.
and ecstatic, and it was April Fool's Day, and he didn't believe me.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad day to
Yeah.
have to tell someone that you're pregnant.
It was pretty awful.
Really? Are you sure?
And we tried to tell our parents too, and no one believed us. But sure enough, we were. And so that was Tegan. My pregnancy was great. My delivery was, it's awful regardless, but not dramatic. And we took home our little girl, and we were a family of 3. And we had absolutely no idea how lucky we were and what was about to hit the fan.
Yeah, pretty easy up to that point.
So we got to 10 days postpartum, and I was laying in bed trying to fall asleep, totally sleep deprived from a newborn. And I was telling Travis I was having really bad chest pain.
Always a good sign.
And we were like, okay, we should call the doctor. We called the doctor. They said, get to Walgreens. So we go to
I remember that now.
Walgreens. Yeah, like with
It
a
was super late at night.
Yep.
A 1 week old in my arms. I'm tired, you're tired.
yeah.
And I just remember you walked in while I was like trying to keep her from crying her head off in the car.
Yeah. And we walk in, and they took my blood pressure, and they said, get to an emergency room. So I go to the emergency room, leave Travis with the baby who doesn't know how to take a bottle
Yeah.
with no formula.
I dropped you off at the front of the hospital and then like just found a parking space. And it's like, it was winter there.
Yeah.
So it was just me and our daughter. Like I'm trying to keep her warm in the front seat for like a full hour before I finally heard from Tory that like, okay, you have a room, you can come in now.
Yeah. We didn't want to bring her into the waiting room because she was so young, and so I just went in myself, and they monitored my blood pressure, and it was only going up. And they came in and they said, you have something called postpartum preeclampsia, which I had never heard about.
It's a thing.
It's apparently a thing. It's very, very rare. And I had absolutely no risk factors for it, and they cannot tell me why I had it, but I did. And I was admitted into a room where I was given a IV into my arm of magnesium to keep me from seizing. And then after 48 hours, I was discharged, and I had to take medication.
Meanwhile, I'm at home like bottle feeding a newborn.
Yeah.
Who's never had a bottle before and is very angry that her mom's gone.
Yeah, it was totally traumatic, and I had to like try to breastfeed her with like IVs in my arm of magnesium, trying not to seize. It was just, it's not what you picture when you picture having a baby. And then
that was kind of the first, I don't know, sign we had that maybe, I don't know, pregnancy is something to take a little more seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
Something that maybe isn't easy for us.
We had perfect health as 25-year-olds, and like we had no idea that we were ever going to have problems, and this was the very first glaring sign that my body could not handle pregnancy. I went home. I was on anti-stroke and anti-heart attack medication for another 5 weeks. before preeclampsia was finally over. Preeclampsia happens postpartum. Only about 4% of cases are postpartum. And you can actually get preeclampsia up to 6 weeks after delivering a baby. And it's some of the most dangerous kind because normally they would just take the baby out if you had preeclampsia and were pregnant. But in my situation, this was after the baby already was out.
Yeah. So anyways, I guess fast forward past that.
Yeah.
Year and a half in Seattle. We thought we could do it alone, but
raise a kid alone out there. We didn't have family out there.
Yeah, that was hard. Harder than it needed to be. And she was a pretty difficult baby too. A lot of high stress. But so anyways, we moved back to Minnesota because we realized we needed grandparents and the babysitting that comes with them.
And we knew we wanted to expand our family, and we knew out there after the hell that we had just gone through, it was just way too risky to not have the support and the babysitters and everything because we knew the pregnancy would be hard.
Honestly, I was okay with just one.
Yeah, Travis was okay with just one. But I'm a twin, and so not having another one was just, it wasn't an option. She needed to have a sibling, and I was going to do whatever it took to get her a sibling.
Whatever it took.
Yeah. Got to be committed for this process. But so we got pregnant 2 months after moving home to Minnesota, and fast forward to week 4 of the pregnancy, and out of nowhere overnight, I went from a normal pregnant lady to a couple symptoms to horribly, horribly sick. I couldn't eat anything, just starting one morning. I couldn't eat anything. It was food aversions, but to literally everything. Nausea to the point where I couldn't even open the refrigerator door. I couldn't.
Because of the smell?
Because of the smells.
Oh.
Yeah, just everything set me off. I couldn't get out of bed. I had
without extreme effort.
Yeah, it was just like someone had sucked all the energy out of me. My mom had to start watching our daughter because I was completely bedridden, and I couldn't drink anything. So I was basically dehydrated and starved, and it was essentially like the worst stomach flu of your life, and nothing ever went away. I could never get relief, and the nausea was just relentless.
And we went to so many doctors. Like when it first started, like I was like, okay, it's morning sickness, like whatever. Like, well, not whatever, but this is part of pregnancy. Like, let's just go to a doctor and they'll prescribe you something, and we'll get through it. They couldn't understand what was wrong with you though. Like no doctor had any answers. We did test after test after test. It seemed like there was like 2 types of doctors in the world. Those that would give us tests and then send us out the door with a big positive look on their face, like, we're going to get this, don't you worry, and then kind of blow us off. Or the kind of doctor that would just blow us off in person, like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you. Sorry.
They put me on cancer-grade chemo medications that they give patients that are going through chemo that are really nauseous to help them with their nausea.
Well, cancer-grade nausea medicine.
Yes.
that they give to chemo patients.
Yes.
Yeah.
And literally that didn't even work either. Yeah. It got to the point where I truly thought I was on death's door, and I called an OB because they don't typically see you until 8 weeks. And I said, I need to be seen. And I got to the office, and I remember this, I was like holding a granola bar because I'd been trying to eat it for literally the last 3 hours to get any sort of calories in me that day. And they gave me a pen, and they said, you have to fill out paperwork. And I looked at them, and I just said, I'm about to faint. Mm-hmm. And they got me into the room and laid me on a bed, and the doctor came in, and I couldn't even turn my head to give him eye contact.
Looks like we're just about out of time on this video.
So we'll
to be continued in part
two.
2.